filled with our laughter, our joy, and our pain, with the parts that are ugly and hurtful, not to harm us, but to share the light into someone else's darkness, for it is to uplift and encourage and motivate the people that we may touch along this journey called life, with the mention of our victories and our triumph, for it says that we have overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimonies. So never be afraid to reveal the pages of your story, for it is for me and you as sisters that we share and give God the glory. So let's talk.
Let's talk. In victory we win. In victory we win.
Hey guys, it's your girl Latosha Renee, and you're tuning in to season 2 of Sister Can We Talk. You heard me right. Season 2, we are here to give you more testimonies to inspire and motivate you to believe in the impossible. Have you ever had an experience where you told God, Lord, I can do it by myself and I don't need no help. I got it from here. And then wind up messing it up along the way? I know I have, and I know you guys have. Today I would like to welcome our special guest. She comes all the way from Georgia, Miss Latosha Hubbard. Yes! Hi! I'm so excited that you're here.
Me too.
Oh my God, how was the travel?
The travel was good.
It was?
There was no traffic.
It was good.
Easy coasting. Easy coasting.
I'm so glad and honored that you're here. I love your testimony. It reminds me of everything that we go through, and I know that everybody has went through what you're going to be talking about today.
Yes.
So go ahead and start off your testimony. Share it with us today.
All right. So, pretty much I have gone through a lot.
Yes.
Like some of the women out here.
Yeah.
But for me, one of the things that stands out mostly is my domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
At the age of 19, I got into a relationship with someone that was there for me, someone I trusted. I was going through personal issues at the time. I was actually homeless.
So
Yes.
let's go from the beginning,
Okay.
because you said that you wanted to go to college.
Yes.
And how did that came about?
Okay, so I had relocated to Charlotte, North Carolina, straight out of high school, literally 2 weeks after graduation, ready to go. And so relocated to Charlotte, North Carolina with family. And I was supposed to be starting at Johnson C. Smith
Yes.
University.
Yes.
Big dream.
Yes.
So got accepted, but one thing I did not realize is I didn't really have the financial part set up. No one had really gone to college in my family, so that was
you was like the first
different.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any help with trying to make sure everything was in place before I started.
Yeah.
And so relocated there with family.
Yeah.
And wasn't going to be staying on campus. I was going to be staying there with them. And we ended up getting put out because they lost their jobs.
Yeah.
So at that time, it was either go back home, tell your parents, or you stay prideful.
Let's be
You know,
real.
straight out of high school, I'm grown.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So I didn't want to go back home to Georgia.
Yeah.
So I stayed.
Yeah.
And like I said, we got put out, ended up going to the homeless shelter, stayed there a few days because, you know, straight out of high school, I got a whole lot of clothes with me.
Right.
And what happened was they stole my clothing. And
At the homeless shelter?
Yes, they stole my clothing.
Yeah.
So stole my clothing, and I decided that I didn't want to continue staying there, so I left.
Yeah.
Started doing temp jobs, started doing pumping plasma, just to have some daily
money.
pay.
Yes.
So I did that, and that was pretty much how I was able to have a hotel. One day, as I was at the plasma center, that's how I met this guy that eventually became my boyfriend. And became my domestic abuser.
Yeah.
So we started dating. eventually I ended up just deciding that, staying at the hotels was a little too much. He would help out with
So
that.
question for you. So
Yes.
like, when did it become abusive for you?
It wasn't at that point.
Okay.
So like he would make sure that I had what I needed.
Mhm.
He would help me get hotels, whatever,
Yeah.
like that. But I got tired of spending all that money, not being able to save. Still not telling my parents that I'm homeless.
How? Okay, so let's reel it back, Jesus. So here you are, away from home. You're living on the street.
Yes.
Was it hard for you to share with your parents? Like, I'm trying to understand why you did. I know you said prideful, but what was your thinking behind, like, I'd rather be on the street than go back home?
Honestly, it was the pride thing.
Yeah.
It was also just, I'm grown. I can do this.
What?
I don't want no
Yeah.
help.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we do God that way too.
Child.
I got this. I want to do it my way.
And he's sitting there, like, okay, you're gonna ask me.
When you gonna call on me?
Oh, I'm ready for you, but we
And
still.
it was the same thing.
Yeah.
I just was afraid to let them know what I was going through. I was afraid to go back home.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I couldn't. I could have
Right.
easily gone back home.
Yes.
But I believe honestly that God had me in that situation
Mhm.
so that it could allow me to grow.
Yes.
I was spoiled.
How so?
I was spoiled. My parents gave me whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
And I just feel like I had to go through that,
Mhm.
just to understand, how these people out here on the streets are
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah.
People not, wanting to help them,
Yeah.
thinking that it's always, they're fraudulent or whatever, like
Right.
just not believing. And I believe that I had to experience it firsthand,
Mhm.
just to humble me.
Yeah.
Like I said, my parents spoiled me. So even while I was homeless, I still could call them and say, hey, I need this for
Yeah.
books.
Yeah. Okay, so
'Cause they thought I was still in school.
So that was gonna be my next question. So here you are, your parents, let you leave the nest. You was 18. My daughter's going to college. She's majoring in what she wants to major in, and I know that she's in good hands. She's with her family, our family, and they have no clue that
idea.
you are living out there on the streets with a guy that potentially became abusive, and you going through all these things. And I remember in silence. In silence. Oh my goodness. So tell me, when did he become abusive towards you?
So the point in which he became abusive, I had actually moved into a home at that time.
Mhm.
We were off the streets.
Mhm.
I ended up going back to the homeless shelter,
Okay.
just because I got tired of being out there.
Yeah.
And thankfully, God never allowed me to have to sleep outdoors.
Come on,
there was
Jesus.
there was always someone that came through.
Okay, so check this out. When I was listening to your story, honey, I was like, I said, God is so awesome.
He really
And
is.
His grace
He
is
really is.
such an amazing thing, amazing gift to us.
Yes.
Because even though we can try to do it on our own, and He will let you.
Yes, He will. Just take
God,
over.
God is an awesome God. He's an awesome Father. He'll let you do what
Yes.
you want to do. He's not gonna hold that. If you want to go ahead, baby, go ahead and go.
That's right.
And you can go down the street, and it could be the worst thing for you. It could be hell on
Yes.
on this earth.
Yes.
But He's still God, and He still
covered.
He still provided for you. You didn't have. Lord, He is so
I'm talking
awesome.
about not one night that
But
I
you-
have to spend the night outdoors.
Yes.
I always had a meal, whether someone just came along and just, of course I had to tell them what was going on, what my situation was. There was time where people would just allow me to spend the night.
Yes.
I don't know people.
Yes.
And I never had to just give myself away,
Yes.
in that as
Come on,
well.
Jesus. Yes.
But as I went back to the shelter, like I said, they had a program where you can transition out of the shelter.
Mhm.
So I humbled myself once again. Humbled myself again, just so I can transition out and into a home.
Yes.
And so that's what they did, and then he ended up moving in as well,
Mhm.
because you still had to pay for your rent. And all
Yeah,
that
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
So I had a little piece of a job,
Mhm.
and he was working like a little piece of a job
Yeah.
too. So putting the two pieces
Yeah,
together,
yeah, making it whole.
was making it work. So in that, we were going to take a trip one day, and we went to go get a rental car. when we got ready to take that rental car back
Mm-hmm.
is when it first happened.
Wow. What happened?
We were walking back because we didn't have a car, so we were walking back from dropping the rental car off, and he asked me to buy him some kind of alcoholic beverage. I don't remember what it was. One of them beers.
Yeah.
And so he asked me to buy that, and I told him no because I didn't feel like he needed it.
Right.
So he got really angry. He got really angry, and that was the first time he hit me. He put mushing.
Yeah.
So he mushed me in the back of my head, and in that moment, it was just a shocking moment.
Yeah. You said that you never had to live with anything like that, so it was
No, my
foreign
parents
to
didn't
you.
whip me.
Yeah.
They didn't beat me, so I wasn't used to this.
Yeah.
It was different, and so once he did it, we were literally like in public on the side of the sidewalk,
and no one said anything.
No one said anything. No one.
So not only was you shocked that he did that to you, you was also shocked on a whole nother level as people was passing you by.
People were passing by. Nobody said anything. It honestly felt like one of those moments where I was just standing there alone.
Yeah.
You know, just standing there alone. No one could rescue me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because again, it was something I had never experienced.
Yeah.
I put their hands on me. My father, my parents, none of them,
Yeah.
you know, put their hands on me, not even to just discipline me.
Yeah.
So once that happened, I just stood there.
Yeah.
And he kept walking. He kept walking back to the house. And so all I knew was just keep going.
Keep going where? Back to the house?
To the house. That's all I knew to do.
Yeah. So at that point, did you like, you know what? I'm gonna call home now. Okay, so I'm still waiting for you to.
I didn't get to that point. I didn't. No.
Yeah.
I went back to the house.
Yeah.
I was just kind of silent for the remainder of the day. And at that point, it was just more like things started dwindling down at that point. I didn't realize it was a drug problem that he had at that point, but that's what was going on.
So, was he always on drugs when you met him? You just didn't know?
No, I don't. I think he had been in rehab when I met him.
Oh, okay.
So once I met him,
he kind of relapsed.
He relapsed. Yeah.
Okay.
So it went back to that, and so slowly he started getting back into that lifestyle. But again, I'm 18 years old. My parents were pastors. So it was not for me. I didn't know no crap, and he was young.
Yeah.
So I didn't expect that that's what was
going
happening.
on. Yeah.
So what ended up being the situation is every time he was high, every time we have an argument.
Yeah.
And it gets to the physical part of it.
So when did you realize that he was using? Like,
we were probably together at least a year and a half or a year before I realized that. And the only reason I realized it is we were trying to save money for a vehicle. And at that point, one day he came back to my job. He came to my job, and he was asking me for the money that he was saving. And I'm like, it'd be different if you asked me for like $20.
Yeah.
Asking me for like lump sums of money
Yeah.
back out of what was saving.
Yeah.
And I told him no. He got really, really angry. Mind you, we on my job. He got really, really angry. And so I just gave it to him because at the end of the day, it is your money.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like I knew what it was that I was trying to do. Get a vehicle.
Yeah.
And so that just, it kind of sparked the notion that, okay, maybe something is going on.
Right.
But I still stay.
Yeah.
At this point, my parents wanted me to come back to Georgia from North Carolina. My father was starting to get ill, and so we decided to move to Georgia. Again, you know, I mentioned my parents were pastors,
Right.
but because I knew my father was getting ill, I think that's the only reason why he allowed me to come with me.
Like he stayed in the house.
Yeah.
You know that don't work.
Yeah, that don't go like that. So, yeah, I was like, it's kind of strange.
Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah. Okay. Well, come on.
So they allowed him to come, and he was really supportive of my father, helping my father and things like that. And I think that's why it was covered more so, because he was always, I guess you could say, narcissistic.
Yeah.
You know? Because he would, on one side, he was helping,
Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side again when
You
Hyde,
did. Yes,
yeah.
yes,
then it's that other person.
yes.
So once we got to Georgia, he connected with some of my family who was supplying him.
Oh wow.
Didn't tell me
Wow.
that he was on it, so I still wasn't sure, but you know what I mean.
Okay, let's put a pin in that.
Okay.
So your family, they knew that you was with him.
Yes.
You brought him down,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so they were supplying his habit
Yes.
while he was with you.
Yes.
Did they know he was abusive?
No.
Okay.
But
that's
you
still,
knew he was on drugs.
But come on, Jesus, and you had me in this relationship. How crazy is that? How crazy is that?
You're supplying it.
Tell me
I'm
when.
not knowing.
Tell me when it got to a point where it was at its boiling point.
The boiling point for me was one day I received a call that he had gotten beat up.
Mm-hmm.
It was by a family member.
Mm-hmm.
And it was related to drugs. So that's what let me you knew, but you didn't know.
Yeah.
Then there was another point that he was high, I guess, and went stealing in some of the local businesses. One happened to be a friend of my father.
Wow.
And he stole a computer and he stole like the stereo system.
Mm-hmm.
By then I had started teaching praise dance to youth in the community.
Okay.
This too. So he knew that I, needed a stereo or whatever.
Yeah.
So he comes to the door. It's all 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Should have known.
I was gonna say, okay.
That naive mind.
Okay.
He's like, look what I got you. Look what I got you. Whatever, So I'm all happy. Like, yeah, these kids can have some music to dance.
Yeah.
Practice with. Girl, I woke up like 2 days later, maybe, and it was gone. The stereo was gone. You just gave it to me. 2 days. So I believe I was trying to rehearse one day, or they had an event coming up.
Yeah.
And I had to get another one. So I went to the pawn shop. I found one exactly like it. So I bring it home. Police came to our house.
Say it
because
again.
about the stealing
Yeah.
situation. They're asking questions. They want to see different things in the house, this and that. So they see the stereo. It's the same stereo.
That was stolen.
That was stolen. Yes. But and I know it's probably like, okay, well, how should you know it's the same one? Well, I like the first one.
Yeah.
So I seen it again.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
like, okay, let me get this one.
Okay.
So what happened was, instead of him actually pawning it, he sold it to the pawn shop. So they literally put it right
Back on the shelf.
They put it back on the floor. These people arrested me.
Where were he at?
He wasn't even there
So they arrested you for.
for receiving stolen goods.
But did you tell them that you got it from
I
the
told them that I got it from the pawn shop. They took me in for questioning. I'm crying, boo-hoo crying, because, baby, I don't do jail.
Yeah.
Never been.
Yeah.
Don't plan on going. I don't do jail.
Yeah.
So, explained to them what had happened, and they kind of believe me, but like, okay, this sounds a little bogus.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm trying to try everything I can think of. I'm like, look, we can go to the pawn shop.
Right. Yeah.
We can go back to the pawn shop. So they allowed us to go back to the pawn shop. They took me up to the pawn shop. They talked to the broker, and he explained that.
Yeah, she bought
She didn't know. She bought this.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing, and the grace of God, that saved me in that situation. And that was my point, where I'm like, okay, because like I said, I don't do jail.
Yes.
So I decided that I had to do something different from me. I called my sister, who lived down south in Florida, and I told her, I'm like, look, I'm ready to go. Come down there
and start
whatever.
new,
start over.
Yeah.
And at that time, she really needed me because her husband had just had a bad accident.
Yeah.
So I was there to help her with the kids.
Yeah.
And things like that. And I told him he had to go back.
Come
to
on,
North
Jesus.
Carolina. So I told him he had to go back to North Carolina. His mother was going to come pick him up and drive him back up there. How about
Lord have mercy.
How about
Tell me.
the day he was supposed to be leaving?
Yeah.
He done robbed something else.
Uh-huh.
Police is looking for him. They can't find him. All day long they looking for him. I ain't talking. We ain't no cell phone back then.
Right.
So,
Right.
so I hadn't talked to him or anything. Dark starts to fall. And we see this figure jart across the road.
Mm-hmm.
Because we lived like right behind a railroad track. So
Mhm.
he darted across the railroad track and came into our house. And we like, his mama got here by then.
Right.
So we're like, where you going? You can't come here.
Yeah.
They looking for you.
Yeah.
If we're not harboring no fugitive,
Right.
I'm sorry. So we called the police.
Mm-hmm.
He was taken in, and while he was there, I lived with my sister a few
Right.
days later. And of course, because it was just a fresh breakup, we still communicated once he
Yeah,
got out
yeah.
and things like that. My parents got him out. I don't know why, but they got him out. He still
Right.
went back
Yeah.
to North Carolina, but they got him out. And so time had passed a little bit. I was still in Florida. He had gone back to North Carolina.
Yeah.
And he went to rehab again.
Yeah.
He went to rehab again. My little naive self again.
Yeah.
19-year-old self by
Yeah.
then. I'm like, okay, he done got help.
Oh, Jesus, help a Lord.
He good. He good. He ain't relaxing around here. So,
Help a Lord.
I'm like, it's cool, you know. So my father ended up passing.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you. He ended up passing, and because they had a relationship,
Yeah.
I told him about it, and came down for the funeral.
And you got sucked right back in it.
Got sucker
Girl.
back, but he went back home. He went back home.
Yeah.
He did. He went back home. But it opened up that door to continue talking to
Yeah.
him, and I had decided that I was gonna go up there. I have a brother
Yeah.
still up there too.
Yeah.
And I was going up there, my family and I were going up there for Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
So, just had bought a car
Mm.
about 3 days before Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And went up to North Carolina, stayed with my brother them,
Mm-hmm.
but talked to him on the phone. You know how we do.
Yeah.
Made that call.
Yeah.
I made that call still, dumb.
Yeah.
Okay. And he was like, come over, you can have dinner with us. My mom said, come on over, you know. I went.
Okay, so like, okay, here we go, Jesus. So, you went through a lot.
I did.
You went through a lot, and just now I just heard you say when you was 19. So you left the house when you was 18.
Yes.
And so from them 12 months, you went through hell.
Mhm.
You know, living on the street, had this guy, got into an abusive relationship. The Lord says, I'm giving you a way out. That's what he did.
He did.
And he went home.
You did.
You know what I'm saying? But that's oh my God.
It was me.
Yes, yes. And he came right. But you know what? It's funny because if we not totally healed from a thing,
Yes.
the devil will do this.
Yeah. He'll put us right back in that same environment.
He'll do this.
Mhm.
And you look up and like, oh, okay,
Oh, there it is.
there it go, there it go. Well, Lord, I know Jesus. I know. But I need him too.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. So tell me what happened after that incident.
So, went to his house for
Mhm.
Thanksgiving, and we had dinner. It was cool, you know. And then we decided we, you know, you get that itis after.
Mhm.
So we got that itis, and so went laid down. It was just him, I, and his mother at the house.
Mm-hmm.
And so I woke up, and I noticed that he wasn't in the room with me.
Yeah.
So I went looking for him or whatever, and he was in the basement. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
I went back and lay down
Uh-huh.
after that. So woke back up. He still ain't in the room. So I went looking for him again, but this time I realized my car was gone. Mind you, I said I just brought this car 3 days prior.
Right.
Car was gone. I went, found his mother. I'm like, he's gone my car. Like, is he going to the store? I'm like, you know, do you know? Because I don't know.
Right.
So she didn't know either.
Mm-hmm.
Probably about an hour, 2, 3, 4 passed by, and still not back.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, well, baby, you want to go and let's go look for him? Like, she can check a couple spots. We went to go look for him, couldn't find him. Night fell, morning came, about 7 o'clock in the morning. It was dark, so it was probably about 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. She's like, let's go look again. So we went to go look again to a couple different spots. You know how if you're going across the railroad track?
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't go directly across like you're supposed to. If this was the railroad track, he's over here. And literally went across the hill, and all I seen was a car up in the air. So let me back up a little bit.
Okay.
I'm back up. We driving, and I see a car. I had a police interceptor, Crown Victoria.
Yeah.
And so I see a white car, and it's literally like the wheels in the front are down, the back of the car is up in the air.
And you like,
I knew it was my car before I even got all the way up there.
that might? No, Lord, that ain't my car.
So we pull over. She's still like, that probably ain't. No, ma'am. This is my car. I know this is my car.
Right.
We even got to look at the tag.
Right.
I still had a paper tag.
Yeah.
I didn't got to look at that. I literally just got it.
Yeah.
And so we got up on it, and it was the car. Looked inside, baby. He done had a whole party in the car. It's real. You back on drugs. Clearly, it's apparent. Everything is just a disarray, you know, in the car. And at that point, because he wasn't even around the car,
Right.
he wasn't there. At that point, that was when I decided that enough was enough. It took that.
Okay, so it brings me to this, and I know I was talking to you about this when we was, you know, doing your pre-interview. You went through all of that. You went through the whole cooking potatoes. You went through all of that,
Yes,
and you didn't have to.
I didn't. I could've went home.
And it's
so
like,
many options out
it's
there.
like, and I was like, you know what? It brings me back to when God says, you know, ask me. And sometimes we think it's a good idea. Sometimes we think, you know, Lord, I think this is you, but we never sit down and have that moment with God and let him minister to us, allowing him to say, no, baby, that's not it, or yeah, go for it. Because when you left, you said you didn't ask.
I didn't.
2 weeks before, you were like, you know what?
It was my escape.
Come on, Jesus.
Preacher's daughter. Yes, escape.
Come on, Jesus. And we're so busy trying to find the way out, and we're so busy, like, you know what, Lord, I want something new, that we do it in a moment where, you know what, and we just go. Not really having the opportunity to say, you know what, Lord, is this for me? Is this for, and I remember, like, way before I was married or whatever, you know, Jesus, I'm married now. I will ask God, because I was so done being in dead relationships. I was so done in being in relationships that wasn't fulfilling. You hear what I'm saying? I was so done with just living. I was like, you know what, God, there has to be more. There has to be something, a man out there for me. So when I would date someone, I said, Lord, if he ain't the one, I need you to shut all doors, all communications, Lord. But the kicker was watching him do it. So here I am. Come on, Jesus. Here I am. Like, you know, he closed it. But then why he ain't calling? Lord, But I had to go back and I said, you know what, Lord, I thank you. Thank you. And I think that's why I said your testimony is so, I think a lot of us get into situations where, Lord, I can do it by myself.
Yes, we want to do it ourselves. That's right.
I can do it by myself. And we don't ask for help until we've been knocked down, beat down, tore down, dragged down. And then we all dirty and bloody, and then we like, Lord, help me.
Now I want your
help me, Jesus. I'm in this situation, Lord, and I don't know how I got here. And he's like, I've been waiting. I never told you to go down that street in the first place. And you like, but Lord, okay, I'm so sorry. So that's why I said I love your testimony, because how many of us are put in a situation that takes years, come on, Jesus, and thank God you was young. How many of us are put in a situation that we take years off our life? God said, I never told you to go down that street in the first place, and you spend 5-10 years in a situation, at a job, at a dead-end relationship, something that is not fulfilling, something that doesn't have his name or anointing on it. Okay, how long? Yes. Just because we want to do it ours, just because it looks good, it looks shiny, Lord, and I want it. And the Lord says, no, this daughter, son, this is not for you. And sometimes we basically try to get away that we don't see the red flag.
Yes.
And just like you said, you know, you didn't know anything but toxicity. So
Right.
here you are, a new babe,
Yes.
a new baby, 18 years old, Lord, and you have a whole bunch of pride, Jesus.
Yes.
That's another thing, Lord. How many of us, Lord,
Pride.
have pride in our lives that you know that you're not supposed to be in this situation,
That's right.
but pride will stop you from humbling yourself
right.
and asking for help. Not even God help, but your parents were
Yes,
there.
yes.
You said your parents could give you everything, fed you on a silver spoon, but you didn't ask
Yes.
because you was trying to break free.
Yes.
And I said, oh my God, how many of us? And I thought about all my life, how many days and time I wasted because I didn't say, God, is this for me?
Yes.
God, do you
Ask him.
just ask him? And so many of us, you know, I believe in this season, especially with COVID, because we have been away from God
Yes.
a long
Yes.
time. And sometimes it takes something as a disease and a famine
Yes.
in the land, come on,
To bring us
Jesus,
back.
to bring us back to where we need to be. And that's intimacy with our Heavenly Father. I
Yes.
call him my Papa because that's who he
Yes.
is in my life, Jesus, okay?
Yes.
But he wants that intimacy because a lot of things that we go through, we don't have to go through.
Yes.
Or we can just say, hey, Papa, what do you think about this?
That's right.
Hey, Papa, I'm getting bad feelings. And he'll be able to say no or yes.
That's right.
You know
Have
what I'm saying?
that conversation.
Have that conversation with him. And I'm just so glad that you got out of it, even though you was drug pushed around and homeless and all that good stuff. But you saw the light, Lord, and look at you are today. And to be able to tell your testimony and say, you know what? Oh, you had a quote, honey. Hold on. You said whatever someone shows you in the beginning, it's gonna be the same when you
Yes.
leave. I said, come on,
Yes.
girl, speak it.
Yes. And I believe that because just based on what I've told you,
Yes.
one of the things I mentioned was I kind of thought I saw, you know, that there was an issue with that.
There was a red flag.
There was.
And they was doing
But
this.
I ignored it.
Mm-hmm.
And when thinking about why I left, it was based in, you know, linked to that same thing.
Yeah.
And I tell people, my clients, look, if you notice something in the beginning, do not ignore it.
Yes.
Because it's going to be the same reason that you end up leaving.
Yes.
Because it's there. It's
Yes.
not going anywhere.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's not going anywhere. Now, unless it's the hands of God.
Yes.
But otherwise, it's going to be there.
How many? Okay, I got another one for you. How many of us? That's gonna be my. How many of us
Listen.
get into a situation and they see something wrong? Come on, Jesus, and be like, you know what? I'm gonna change him.
Yeah, I'm gonna change him. Oh, I'm gonna just wait and see what happens. Oh, he just did that to her. He ain't gonna do that to me. What makes you different?
Okay. And we try to make. Oh my God! I remember, you know, when I first met my husband, I told him a whole bunch of stuff like, "This is how I am. I need to talk to you every once in a while, Lord, throughout the day, not every other day, throughout the day." You know what I'm saying? And I was able to really understand who I was.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so when I met him, I realized that, even going back, I realized that I wasn't able to make someone who I wanted them
That's
to be.
right.
And you're not about to
They
make
have to
me
want to.
Yeah,
They
and
have
it's
to
something
want
that
to.
I want. No, let me tell you what I want up front. Let me see what you are up front. Come on, Jesus, because going back to what I said,
Right.
we spent so many years in dead relationships that we waste time, and God never said to go
That's
ahead
right.
and go after that.
That's right.
I want to be in a place right now, especially I was telling Michelle. I was telling Michelle throughout this whole COVID season and people dying and people getting sick and losing their jobs and all this mayhem in the world. I said, Lord, you ain't gotta hit me over here no more. I'm gonna do exactly what you told me to do.
It don't take
Lord,
all this.
It don't take all this, Jesus. You know what I'm saying, Lord? And I want to be in a place where I'm at His will. I want to
Yes.
be in a place where He says, go get it.
That's
If
right.
He told me not to go get it, I'm not even touching. Lord,
That's
don't you
right.
gotta come my way. I'm okay.
That's right.
I want to be right where He wants me to be.
Yes.
And we have to get to that point in intimacy
Yes.
that we can say, you know what, Lord, if it's not about you, if it's
That's
not
right.
about what your will
Right.
is, if it's not about spreading the gospel, which
That's
is
right.
Jesus Christ, then I don't need no part
That's
in
right.
it. Lord, allow me to be what you have created me to be.
Yes.
Not a fraud, not me trying
That's
to act
right.
like what's on social media. Because,
Authenticity.
hello, come on, Jesus.
Yes.
Not trying to be what someone else wants me to be or what I see on social media.
That's right.
But be what you have called me to be. And I think we as females, we as human beings need to just realize that we are all made with purpose.
That's right.
We all have a special gift.
That's right.
We all have something that God wants us to do. But until we get that intimacy with God, until we begin to become more real with ourselves,
Yes.
we will never get to be in that place.
That's right.
Girl, you said a lot today. Come on,
That's
Jesus.
right.
Yes, honey. Well, I am so glad that you was able to join us
Thank
for
you for
our
having
first
me.
episode of season
Yes.
2. Come on, Jesus.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And she came all the way to Georgia to be on the set. I'm so honored and I'm so grateful.
Thank you.
Guys, that was amazing. I thank you so much for watching. I thank you so much for just allowing us to grace your presence on today's show. I hope you learned something today that will inspire and motivate you to believe in the impossible.
Yes.
I hope that I inspire you to get more close with God and have that intimacy relationship with Him, so you don't have to go through things that you don't need to go through, because it's time for us to do what's right. It's time for us to be in the alignment with God and what He wants us to do. So until next time, guys, and yes, we are coming back. Until next time, guys, remember to love, pray, and be that beacon of light for the world to see.
Yes.
Bye.
God, the glory. So let's talk.
Let's talk. In victory we win. In victory we win.